Good morning, everybody. This is Jason, Zombie Collector. It's a beautiful day here in Indiana. Excuse me. We finally got a couple good streaks of good, sunny, beautiful weather here, and I'm taking advantage of it on the way into work. Can't believe how nice it's been the last couple of days. We finally, like I said, hit a patch. So that's good. But I had a topic today, guys. You didn't come here to talk about weather with me or the topography of Indiana. But if you haven't been noticing, there's been a couple of recent ejections out of Major League Baseball for player attitudes. Manny Machado aggressively arguing with the umpire, got a 1-day suspension that's on appeal right now, I think. And then I forgot the other player, but this over the weekend or yesterday, he threw his batting gloves at the umpire and he had a 4-game suspension. And there's topics that we could discuss about that as well with the Major League Baseball Umpire Association, and saying that they're getting, especially Machado's case, getting a very light suspension was ridiculous, and Major League Baseball coming back at him saying basically, mind your own business, that's our job, you just do your job, we'll do ours. But then 5 days later, a guy who probably doesn't get as aggressive and abrasive and abusive as Machado throws his batting gloves and he gets a 4-day. So who knows about that? But my question is that not only are the players, I feel like, getting more and more brazen, and maybe it's just because the suspension got brought up a lot, so they're talking about it more than they have in the past, with, getting just really abusive to the umpire, throwing stuff at the umpire. Everything is argumentative because, the player feels like they're getting the raw end of the deal, but guess what, guys? I mean, it's being an umpire, you're still human, right? It's a job where you're having to use your best judgment if it's a ball or a strike or whatnot. It's subjective. I know the technology now is helping umpires in baseball find that strike zone more and more clearly defined, and I do get that, and I think that's definitely good for the game to keep it to be really what it is. But at the end of the day, it's still a man behind a plate making the best call he can. But my question is that what I have noticed more and more with my own son is that you have so many kids now who act like little prima donnas at the plate and question everything an adult umpire does. And again, it goes back to the umpire could be wrong. That's 100% could be the case. But a 10-year-old, a 14-year-old, a 7-year-old, or whatever age should not be running his mouth to the umpire. Looking back at the umpire like the umpire is, an idiot. And running their mouth. And then they get rung up because they strike out, huff and puff and throw their bat down and stomp off the field. And it makes me wonder, are these kids picking this up from the Major League Baseball players? Because that's what they see. They see their parents, and a lot of it has to do with their parents. They're always bad-mouthing the umpires and saying how the umpires, it's always the umpire's fault. And it could never be their kid who never swings at the ball. Or it could never be the kid who gets 3, right down the middle pitches, and then he swings high on the last one and then slow, but somehow that's the umpire's fault. Yeah, sure. I see plenty of things where I'm like, come on, ump. We all do. If we were parents, no matter if it's baseball or softball, whatever. But what I don't condone is my kid ever running his mouth to an umpire, regardless of what you think you're right or wrong, or regardless if you think you're right. It's always wrong for a kid to glare at the umpire, to talk smack at the umpire, or to stomp off the field, or to throw their bat down, or whatever the case may be. And I think that Major League Baseball has a real issue when it comes to those kind of things, because it's they let the player for a solid couple minutes sometimes just go on a tangent. It's one thing if a player gets a ball thrown at him or behind them, and then, you're now protecting yourself, or your team comes out there to protect you. I can understand that. You don't want to get hurt, regardless of the situation, why they're throwing the ball at the player. I get that. That makes sense. I don't condone violence either, but I get the idea of protecting yourself. What I don't understand is how yelling and screaming and being abusive to an umpire, how that actually helps you in any situation. If anything, human nature should tell you that if you're abusive to somebody, the next time that you two people meet probably isn't going to be the best scenario you can come up with. You would like to think that everybody's an adult and they could put the bad feelings behind them, but that's not always the case. You might have somebody who can't not let go, and if they're on the other end of an abusive Major League Baseball player, Machado or whoever, you might not get the fair shake the next time around. You thought the first time was bad, look at the second time around. It could happen. But at the same time, when I go to all these tournaments around the state and out of the state, and to see these kids, just chirp at the umpire or whatever, and their parents and the coaches be like, hey, you keep your opinions to yourself. Don't talk to the umpire. That's my job as the coach or whatever. I'm saying whatever a lot. Sorry, I just not realized that. But that's the job as the coach to say something to the umpire. They need to be your advocate. You don't need to be your own advocate on the field at 8 years old or 10 years old or 15 years old. You need to be in the batter's box ready to hit. If the ball's coming down the pike, you're going to be the one who needs to hit it. If you're not hitting it, that's the umpire's job to call it a ball or a strike. It's pretty straightforward. And baseball's not too difficult when it comes to that. You got to get up there and be ready to hit. You got to, they always say around here, you got to be a hitter. Are you going to be a hitter? So, sometimes it sucks. A bad call happens, but it goes back to what I first said. It's subjective. It's a human error. A lot of times you might get it in your favor. It should have been a strike, but the umpire calls it a ball. Especially at, kid baseball level, especially when you're talking about travel baseball. A lot of these umpires, they show up for the weekend. They're getting paid, $25 or $50 for a game, or for maybe for a game or whatever the case may be, depending, I guess, the level of competition or whatever. These guys, this is not their job. It's not their lives. And they don't. And I don't want to be an abusive parent to an umpire unless the guy is just completely just ridiculous, which very rarely happens. And even then, I don't get abusive. I just be like, hey, we watched the same game here, blah, blah, blah kind of thing. I'm not screaming and cussing at the guy. I'm not belittling him, whatever. But, the kids should not be talking to the umpires like that. And that makes me wonder, if the Major League Baseball would hand out a little bit stiffer penalties, a little stiffer suspensions, that might cause these players to think twice. Because let's be honest, if they're going to make, let's say, Machado got a 1-game suspension and then he had to pay like a $5,000 fine. That ain't nothing. That's like a vacation day and then a literal drop in a teacup for Machado with a $300 and whatever $million contract now. So it is not like it's anything huge for him. He's not learning any lessons here. And I'm not picking on Machado. I'm just saying, it could be anybody. It could be my favorite baseball player or whatever. It could be Christian Yelich. I'd say the same thing about him. So this is not a Machado boo-hoo on him. So, I just want to know what you all think about that. Have you seen that a lot with your own kids? And the teams they play in the area you all play in, where it seems like more I've ever seen. When I was growing up, you never saw that. If I even thought I would be able to talk to an umpire in a nasty, negative, abusive way, like my dad would yank my chain right out and just drag me to the ground. He would not tolerate that. You do not treat other adults like that, no matter what you think. So anyways, guys, let me know what you think. Give me your opinions. I'm interested to see what you think. And until next time, peace.